Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ruck Up Buttercup. It's a girl chat today, so we have me, Ashley, and Laura on. We are going to be talking about like health and wellness. And I was actually looking at an article just today about like the 7 dimensions of wellness, and there is our mental health, our physical health, social, financial, spiritual, environmental, and vocational. So we're going to kind of just work our way through that list and kind of like talk about how those things affect us and things that we can work on to live healthier in all those aspects, not just in the ones that we usually think about when we talk about health and wellness. So,
Well, I think it's important to say that like you need to think about all those different aspects because all of them will play a role in how you're doing one or the other. You know, if you're struggling in one area, you're probably going to struggle in the other six as well.
yeah, I feel like it was about a year ago when we talked to Grace and we were
Mhm.
talking about that, like how you can't really work on your physical health if your mental health is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of these other ones also play into that. If your financial health is awful right now, and I mean, I think that's a huge thing for a lot of us right now,
Mhm.
then you're just not going to feel like you're in the right place to do that. So,
Exactly. Well, what was the first one? The first one was
mental health. I mean,
mental
that's
health.
obviously the biggest one, I think, in
Yeah.
our nation. So,
Well, I think that's like one of the biggest ones that I struggle with. Like if I'm not like in a really good headspace or if I'm just like bogged down, like physical, everything else just takes like a
it just falls
way
off.
backseat. Like it's so bad. And so I think mental health, like that's what I've been really, really working on this like last few months. And I feel like I'm in a really good space right now where like I'm ready to jump back in and like start working out and eating healthy. And I mean, not that I wasn't doing those things before, but I want to like step it up more. Mental health was a huge issue for me this year. Like I was just kind of like down in the dumps like way too much.
Mental
And
health
I
is
think
hard
that,
because it's not, you can't control it, right? Like, it's not always in your control.
and I think that all of the other ones, all the other six, if your mental health is out of balance or sync or whatever you want to call it, then all the other ones, they could be going great, but if that one's off, they're really not that great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so, like I was saying, it kind of is so affected by other things. And like you can control, like, in the sense of like working on meditation and working on reading self care books and like things like that to kind of work
Yep.
it out in your own life. But there are things that are so out of your control. And especially as military spouses, there's so much of like, we're going to talk about this later in the season, but like grief and trauma that is also in your life that you just have literally no control
You
over.
don't have
Whether
control.
that's a sudden deployment, whether that's a family member being sick and you're not there. Like, there's a lot of things that like can highly affect you. And I don't know that there's a lot of mental care that you can do during
Yeah.
some of those
Well,
situations.
and like when your entire world is kind of like flipped upside down so often, even if you're prepared for it, and let's be real, like we're never fully prepared for anything that's thrown at us. We could say we're prepared for a deployment, we could say we're prepared for a PCS, but then things happen that just throw a wrench into it. And so you I mean, I'm so excited for this upcoming PCS, but I also know like my anxiety level now is starting to build up because I'm just like, we have to find a house. We've got to find this. And do we even have orders yet? No, we don't. But I'm still like, it's coming. I know it's coming. I'm trying to prepare myself. I'm trying to like start going through things, which that's stressing me out to begin
Yeah.
with. Cause then there's just piles of shit all over the house. And I know I'm gonna have to go through it again when I know when we're actually leaving. And so it's just like that constant like ride of anxiety that like we have, like it just never seems to go away.
No, I think honestly, if I didn't have anxiety, I wouldn't know how to get through the day. I'd be like, wow, with so much time in the day today
I
without
know.
anxiety.
It's
Mhm.
kind of like when I told my doctor, like, if I woke up and I wasn't in pain, I'd think I was dead. It's kind of
Yep.
the same with anxiety. Like, if we woke up as military spouses and didn't have some sort of anxiety, we'd be like, okay, what is going on? Did I forget something? Like, we would have anxiety about not having anxiety.
Well, and I think that's why this past like year and a half has been so hard for me because like the military life has been very different for us, like very not normal. He's not been gone in the field every month. He's not been deployed. He's not been working super late hours. Like he's been home pretty much like a consistent schedule. And I think that's where I'm just kind of like, I'm just waiting. Like my brain is just like, don't get comfortable, Ashley. Don't. Just like, because the ball is going to drop on you. And and I know it's not, but I'm just in that constant like state of like, what the hell is going to happen? Like, what's going to happen?
And see, mine's completely different because mine is like 45 days away from being on CSP for 12 weeks and then terminal leave. And so he's home. He maybe goes to work for like an hour if they need him to do something. But his unit is so like, hey, we're trying to do everything without you because you're going to be gone soon, that unless he has appointments or something for retirement, like he's home. And it's nice because then I have extra help where I'm like, hey, can you take this kid to this appointment? Or hey, can you go drop off Alex or any of that stuff? And it's been great, but it's also been like, oh, that's weird. He's home. What?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just like, I feel like that is, any transitional period is a huge flux for anyone's mental health, because you're so used to being a single parent or, primary parent. I don't like, single parent is such a harsh word, but like you technically are, but a primary parent for so long, then all of a sudden you have like this extra support and you're just like, oh, it's not how we do things. Or like however it may be. So, or you're trying to like let them do things and then you're just like, just let me do it. Like, let me do it. But mental health, I think, is so important, but like that, I think that is the one thing that is out of our control.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to like work on it though, because I know for sure I love like self-help books and just kind of like realizing that everybody is kind of going through that. I think that's one of those things, like you get in the headspace of really bad anxiety or really bad stress levels and you're like, oh, I'm just going through so much and nobody gets it. Nobody's going through the same stuff as I am, but like there are. So like those kind of like self-care books are really good to just like sit down and be like, oh, so there are people out here and this is how they're coping with it. I can work on meditation. I can work on I don't think that I do well with meditation. My brain just goes too much.
Yeah.
But I like to sit down and like color or something like that, where I can just like not be worrying about doing chores, not worrying about what's next. Just take it, even if it's 30 minutes, to just sit down and do something with my hands. That helps. That's like something completely off chart, because you can't think about the stress as much. I feel like when you're trying to color in little lines, like when you're trying to focus on what you're doing, it has to let some of that go.
Y'all are gonna be so proud of me. I actually started my very first like full bind.
Yay!
It only took a year, y'all. Like, I've had all this stuff for a whole year, but I think I just got like so intimidated like through the whole process that I just have been putting it off and then putting it off. And I was like, you know what? No. Like, we're gonna, like, you wanted to do this, and you got all this stuff to have something to do with your hands, like, so that way you weren't like mindlessly scrolling through TikTok or something, like, which obviously doesn't do anything for our mental health anyways. So I printed off my first typeset yesterday and I have it all ready to go. So I'm really excited to continue on that journey. And it's definitely been way easier than I thought it was going to be. I think the typeset was what really threw me off, but there's so many people out there who've already created them, so you can just use the ones that are already out there. So that kind of took that level of anxiety away. But yeah, there are.
I think it's nice though. I think the more you use your hands and your busy work does keep like your mind a lot calmer. And I know it feels like you're taking time away from your schedule. I think that's just so hardwired in women's brains in general, that we have to be productive at 24/7, which is insane. But it's just scheduling that little bit of time for yourself, whether that is a bath, that's just reading books, doing something with your hands, something where you're just like, hey, this is my time. And it is just as important as doing the dishes. It's just as important as spending time with the family. I deserve to spend time with myself. And you just have to kind of teach yourself that mentality, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's so hard for us to like think about too, especially like also like just transitioning, like when you like that whole primary parent thing, like being a military spouse, like sometimes we just don't have the time to do it because we are taking care of everything, but making sure you have that time, and like whether you're using it for physical activity. So, I know a lot of military spouses who use physical, like working out, playing a sport, something physical for stress relief, and I love that for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the next thing on the different types of wellness is physical wellness. And I do think this is another one where people get so caught up in their head of like it's going to the gym. It's like going to gym classes and following a strict regimen, but it can be so much easier as just going on a walk with your kids. And
Yep.
it's
Or
just
walking around Target and just looking at everything.
See,
yeah,
and
I
that's
mean, you can
that's
just go to Target once a week.
I'm
And
so glad you
walk
said
by.
that, because that is one thing, like, that is one thing that I do is like, you know, do I buy anything? Probably not. If I do, it might be like, you know, the
A
few
drink.
items or a drink or something. But, you know, like, especially like in the winter months when I can't get outside, because it's just too cold, I'll go walk around a store. Like, I'll go to Target, I'll look at things, be like, oh, that's super cute, or, you know, pick up something for the kids or something like that. And I love it. Like, and I have my book on, so like I'm multitasking, which, I mean, I feel like that's just what we do in general. But, you know, I find that it gets me out of the house. It gets me out of like a slump of like I'm just stuck in this box. And I think that's totally acceptable. Like, and for anyone who ever says like you go to Target or you go to the store way too often, if that helps you mentally break the barrier that you're in or getting you to move more, go for it.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think,
right now the malls are all empty,
yep,
especially on weekdays. Like, just go walk laps around the mall, and there are people that do that. If you
yep,
go to the mall, you will see them.
see people, yeah. Well, and then like, or finding like, you know, indoor tracks, or, you know, or just like walk your stairs. Like, that's one thing that I do. Like, I'll just try to walk. I have three-story house right now, and I'll walk up to top. If I'm in the basement and I have to use the restroom, I'll walk to the top stair to the top floor and back down, just so I know that I'm like making sure that like I like am moving a little bit more inside the house than just kind of taking the easy route and going to the first closest thing. Same thing with parking. I park in the very back when
Yeah,
I go to any store.
I just park.
Yeah.
I have handicap for a reason,
Yeah.
and I park. I use it any chance I can. I get stares all the time from old people, like death stares, like, oh my God, why are you using it? Like, calm down. My feet are metal and my heart is crap. Okay? Thanks.
But I think you just do what works best for you. If it's gym workouts, if it's an at-home workout, whether you're following a YouTube workout or you're paying for a plan or you're working with a personal trainer, I think doing what works best for you is like that's like only thing you need to do.
Yeah.
And a 20-minute walk is exercise, y'all. And it can do just as much as running several miles, which who at our age, who wants to run? Like, my joints
No
are
one.
like so bad.
If I'm running, run because something bad is happening. No, I was at my cardiologist the other day, and he was like, well, you need to walk 30 minutes like 4 times a day. And I'm like, dude, I go to the store about that, and I at least walk for 30 minutes. Like, calm down. I'm getting all of that. I promise you. And he was like, well, that's not the same as, I'm like, but it is. Like, it doesn't matter where I'm walking. If I'm
You're moving.
constantly moving for probably over 30 minutes,
Yeah.
it's the same. Like, I don't have to go outside or walk on a treadmill for it to count as that. Because, you know, they were really concerned after my 3 heart attacks and all that, especially because apparently there was a lot of buildup in all of my arteries. Like, they looked like I was a 600-pound person for some reason. And they have no idea. I mean, it's probably because I, like, you know, a college student, but hey, leave my cheeseburgers and McDonald's alone, okay? Makes me
Speaking
happy.
of like food, nutrition I think is like my biggest, like that's my biggest, like mental is a challenge, but I feel like especially in today's market, like nutrition has been a huge issue for me, because I'm just like, my kids are so picky, they never eat anything I'm eating, and then my husband will eat certain things, so like I can either pay a ridiculous amount in groceries, which I'm already doing because the prices are so expensive,
I know.
or I'm just like not eating the things that I should be eating as a female with a tummy to flatten. Like, there's just like like just the thought of like trying to build like a healthy plan to stick to like hit everything like that. My anxiety is going through the roof right now. It's just so hard. like, all the groceries that you need to get, like, other than just eating like chicken and vegetables every single day, which is boring and will make me want to go grab a cheeseburger real freaking quick. It's so hard.
And it's like I had to come to the mindset when Alex was diagnosed with EOE that I wasn't going to stop eating what he couldn't have, because the world isn't going to stop eating what he can't have. And I wanted him to grow up knowing that it's going to be all around you, and you just have to have, like, no, like, I can't have that because my life will suck that day and for the next 2 weeks if I do eat that. And I kind of call it my it is what it is mindset. And it sucks because I have to make him a completely different meal than anybody else. Luckily, now that he's 12, this past year, I really focused on getting him to learn how to make his breakfast and learn how to make his lunch, so that was one less time where I had to make 3 different meals. Because it's like, okay, let's learn how to make a sandwich. It's not that hard. It doesn't have to be perfect. If he makes a mess, he can clean it up. Like,
yeah.
I had to let go of but what if he spills the jelly everywhere, all that stuff. But once I started doing that, now I only have to make 3 different dinners. And a lot of the times, like, whatever I'm making for me and my husband, Astrid will eat. She's fine with it. Or she'll want what Alex is having, so that's easy. There's some days where I still have to make all 3, but it happens. But with an allergy kid, you have to do his first, make sure everything else is all out of the way and cleaned up, and then he can eat while you're making everything else. But yeah.
I think, like, with nutrition, like, having a partner who's on board with, like, doing the same thing as you, like, I know that if I say, hey, like, this is what I'm making, a lot of times, like, if it's a vegetable that I'm eating that I know Jeremy won't eat, then I'll just get him, like, canned vegetables, because, like, I know he'll eat canned green beans, canned corn, and then he can have that. But, like, I, have been contemplating doing meal prepping for like at least 3 days in advance, so that way, because my big thing is I also just don't eat like when I should.
I was
like
gonna say that's my worst. I get so, it's not busy. I mean, maybe it is, I guess, because we're homeschooling.
It's too
and we have
busy
so
to
much
go like cook something.
I
But
just
like
don't
if
think
it's
about
there,
it.
like I mean, I literally was just like, oh, it's 10:30. I still haven't eaten breakfast yet. So I like ran upstairs and made me like a slice of, I'm on this like cottage cheese toast thing. Like, it's protein and it's super quick to make. And so, but I was like, I need to eat something, because if I don't eat, then I'm not eating until like 12:31. And I'm like, we're trying to get out of this habit, Ashley. Like, you need to make sure you're eating something in the morning, that's, not just a handful of grapes or something. So, but I feel like that, like, meal prepping, at least maybe breakfast and lunches, because then I, like, hey, like, it's there, you can go get it. Like, you don't have to like stop for 30 minutes and go make something or whatever it may be. Like, it's there, just pop it in the microwave or grab it and go. And then, like, any days like I'm running errands, like, that's my worst too, is like I know I'm going to be gone the whole day. I don't eat.
I don't know if it's just like a mental thing, like ADHD, and it's just I get wrapped up and I don't notice my body signaling like, hey, we should eat. And same, I haven't eaten anything this morning at all. And I know it could be a routine, like you're saying, like if I did prep for it to be a routine, because I make coffee every morning and I drink my coffee every morning. So there's really no excuse for like the time there. It's just doing it. And it is, because breakfast, like, who wants to sit and cook an egg? Like, that does take time. But reality is it probably takes as long as my coffee pot brewing. So it's probably
but
not.
It's not just like, it's like cooking and then it's cleaning the pan.
It is the cleaning after. I think that's what kills me.
It's all the things that like you're the only person to do it. So like, that if like I'm sitting there going like, man, a fried egg sounds really good, but then that means I have to like clean the pan and then clean the plate and then all the other things. So it's just like, maybe not. Like, maybe not. But
I
Yeah,
think the cleaning is what kills me on eating healthy a lot of the times. Like I will go for faster dinners even because I'm like, oh, well, this is one pan and done. And I know that
yeah.
I'm like, oh, so I can just throw that in the dishwasher. Will be easy go because I can pull the aluminum foil off or whatever. And it's so fast. And then it's like, oh, but I didn't eat any fresh vegetables because it was so much easier to do it this way. And it's routines. And it's just kind of probably a lot of that is just learning like it's okay to set aside time for doing the dishes before bed or whatever.
Well, and I think it's just like the like plethora of like information out there of like what you should and shouldn't eat, what, you know, how much you should eat of it, what like, and then like trying to figure out like what you as a person, you know, for your weight, your height, your build, whatever it may be, like all of that, it's just so overwhelming. And you know, and I'm sure it could be just as simple as just, you know, a, a 5 ounce piece of chicken. But you know, if you don't have a food scale, how do you know what 5 ounces is? Like, you know, it's just so much that goes into it. So like, it seems like if you're on a health journey, it mentally takes like a lot to even just prepare for it, just to prepare for like, hey, I'm gonna make a new habit, like whether it's drinking 60 ounces of water. Mentally, you have to prepare yourself for that. Like it's not just a do
I would
it.
die.
Like I try so hard to drink water, but then I'm like, I'll go through the day where I'm just like, dang, I've had only like one glass of water.
Yeah.
Like, but I've had a cup of coffee and or whatever, and I'm trying to like coffee. I've learned coffee's been like not my friend lately. Like I just like, it just makes my stomach hurt, and so I've been drinking Alani just because like it still gives me that caffeine, but it's not like as bad in terms of like sugar content and stuff. So, but so you know, but it's just so much. It's just so much.
There is.
I've gotten guilty of like, so we're spoiled here. Sabrina knows HEB. I freaking love HEB. They have these like already prepared and it's either microwave or oven meals and they're like fresh. Like they make them, somebody comes in super early in the morning, they make them, they're set out. So I go grocery shopping on Sundays. I've gone in the habit where I'm grabbing 4 or 5 of those just so that I'm like, hey,
That's awesome.
fast lunch, fast dinner, because you know the kids have karate, and that stops me from, hey, guess what's right across from karate?
I know.
Whataburger.
So bad. Like it's just like, oh, we'll just grab a pizza or we'll just grab Chick-fil-A or something. Like I like, and it's so hard because you're just like, oh.
Well, that
So
kind of falls into the next one is the financial wellness. And I'm
Yeah.
realizing it is so much cheaper to eat at home. Like every time we eat out, I'm like, oh my God, we just spent $70. Like we went to a bar and grill, like a really small little place, thinking, oh, sandwiches and salads would be fine. It was $70 for the 4 of us to have lunch. And it's like, it's insane the prices of things. And that we're on a strict budget because we did take a huge pay cut moving to Arizona. And it's like, oh my God, we cannot eat out. We just cannot be doing that.
It is fine. I think like going into like the financial stuff like that also like, you know, deters like whether you have a gym membership, if you're buying, you know, those healthy foods, or are you sticking to budget friendly foods, which are typically not the best in general, like a, you know, box of macaroni and cheese and things like that, like hot dogs, things like that, you know, great for my kids, but not great for like me. And
Mhm.
so, I mean, it's probably not great for my kids, but they love it. So if they're
Happy kids anyways.
gonna eat something, then I mean, they only eat a handful of things, y'all. So I'd rather them be fed and happy than starving little children. But yeah, that financial thing is like the biggest thing for, you know, especially because God, groceries are so expensive. Like I think I spent like $200 at the grocery store yesterday, and I probably only got stuff for 3 or 4 meals and like some lunch meat, and that was everything. And I'm just like, why is it so expensive? I mean, we went to dinner the other night and it was like $120 for the 4 of us. Now granted, we did have like a drink and stuff like that too, but I was like, oh.
It is not a good time when you order groceries. That's been our biggest thing is we order groceries from now on because every time we go in that store,
I
we
think
buy
it's a great
crap we
tip.
don't need. And
It's a
I'm
great
really
tip.
good about meal planning and knowing exactly what I need. And so by the time it's time to get groceries, so we're picking up groceries today. So our house is super out of everything. The kids are like, what are we supposed to eat? I'm like, I don't know, because I'm only buying it for literally what we need to eat for those
Yeah.
days because you just have to budget so much now
Yeah.
to make things like ends meet. And I know right now it's because we have like debts that we shouldn't be paying, you know, that it sucks because we moved twice in the last couple of years that were just really expensive out of pocket. But it's not just me. Like it is everybody that's just.
But I think that's a great tip. That's a great tip because I definitely spend less on food if I do order pickup. My biggest thing is I've just been like, this is the only day I can go get groceries. But then by the time I like put the grocery order in, it's like not available until the next day. So like I'll have to go in. But I also made the decision that like I'm only buying snacks once a month. Like if you choose to eat all of the snack food, I'm not buying it more. So like I did a Costco run. So the Costco here is like 50 minutes away from our house. And I bought a bunch of like big bulk snacks. And I was like, okay, I'm not going and buying any more snacks until like this date. If you choose to eat all of them, it's on you. You won't have snacks. Now, granted, like I'll pick up like cheese sticks and stuff like that every grocery run, but like chips, cookies, things like that I, we keep kind of have in the pantry. I'm like, I'm not doing it because it's so expensive. But like having Costco or something like that, like it is so much cheaper to buy some of those things there, especially like snack food, because something that I could get at Walmart for like 12, I can get for like a couple dollars more at Costco, and it's like double to triple the amount in that box. And so for me, it was like I can drive the 50 minutes, or I can have it delivered because they do shipping. But
so I feel like snacks is one of those things that I don't think about it when I'm ordering my groceries. But then we've learned actually recently, we were going to Dollar General for something, but Dollar General and Dollar Tree have most of those junky snacks that your kids want for really cheap, like way cheaper than most of the grocery stores. Like Dustin came home yesterday with a big box of Ritz, like family size pack. It was like $4. I was like, what? That would have been like twice that much at the grocery store. So those are like places that you don't really think to go buy grocery type items, but maybe start looking at, especially for like those kind of like junk food things that are like easy to get.
So especially for like Alex, because I have to find everything free, basically snacks for him. And I found that using like, I'm like Ashley, I only get like the snack stuff once a month. We either go to Sam's Club, which luckily is only like 20 minutes from us, which it's really, it's 2 cities away, but they're like literally, they just flow.
It's Texas. Like it's they're really close to each other.
Yeah, like they're basically all the same city. Or I order them I have some of Alex's stuff that I can't get anywhere else or for cheap, because some stuff is at Target, but Target is ridiculously expensive on some stuff. The subscribe and save on Amazon, and I just have it shipped at the first of the month because I'm VA. We only get paid once a month, so I do everything at the beginning of the month. And I used to order groceries to save money, but I pay cash for my groceries because it helps us keep track a little bit better. I have a certain amount. Obviously, I have plus or minus a little bit just saved off to the side, just, for extra. Because there's some months that you're like, I'm getting that ice cream. I don't care. Yeah. Or, there's a birthday, so you have to make something extra or something.
Yeah.
So anything I have left over goes into can be used on future groceries later. What's nice is Sam's Club still takes cash, so I can add that in too. But the subscribe and save has been great because if you get 3 or more things, you get a percentage and then you get more, but it's mindlessly shipping and I don't have to remember.
Just shows up.
But I think that's a great tip too, because like if you're going to get it every single month, why not just have it shipped and arrive at your door? Like why not?
That's
how I was going to say.
That's what I do for the air filters.
Oh yeah, that's smart too.
If they didn't arrive at my door, I'd probably forget that, hey, we need to change these. But hey, they're at the door, so I just go.
As military spouses, you have to remember that you have to go in and change your delivery to a new house, because if not, it will still be delivered to your old house. Just a heads up, because yes, I have been in that situation where I'm just
have to.
What is this? Like, and then realizing, I just never win it, because you have to go in and update each like item. Like it's not just an automatic thing. So learn from us and make sure you do that. Or on like any pre-orders or anything like that, you have to go in and physically change your addresses, because if not, then Someone's
Yeah, I
gonna
was
have
gonna
to
say
subscribe
also with the
to
subscribe and save. Like we're big. We go out and we go on adventures for the day, right? And then we're like, oh, we'll just stop at the gas station and get drinks. But that would be somewhere that we really should start doing. Is like, hey, I know my kids are gonna want a blue Gatorade every weekend. Why don't we
Yeah.
just have a case of blue Gatorade that is here all
Yeah.
the time? And the same with like Alani's or things like that,
Well,
where instead of going and
yeah.
buying them individually, it's
I
so much cheaper. Go
literally
ahead.
just ordered a case of 24 because I'm just like, okay, how much are these if I buy a case? Because like right now they're like $2.50 a piece at the store. Sometimes like you can get them when it's like 2 for 4, things like that. But I was like, how much are they as a case? And so for a case of 24, they come out to be like $1.60. I was like, what the
So
hell
much
have I been
cheaper.
doing? Like, okay, I can go and just buy this case and have it delivered, which is exactly what I did. I ordered a case, and so now I don't have to like go. I mean, I don't have to buy these, but like this is my little treat a day type of thing. So I'm like, I will have this, and it's so much cheaper than going to the gas station and purchasing what they have marked up already.
Yeah.
So, probably I'm like, if we really sat down and like tallied out how much we spent on like energy drinks or drinks at the gas station, I would be embarrassed to tell y'all because it would
Well,
be a
that's
lot.
why we're on the strict budget, but we have an actual budget thing on the computer that we're filling in every night and putting in our receipts and like literally tracking where actually every penny is going. And it's like, okay, we need to stop. Like you
Stop
think
doing
you're
that.
like, oh well, a coffee, it's $5. Like it's not a huge chunk of the budget, but then you're like, holy crap, we've spent $30 on coffee this week. Like what is happening?
But
So you
and
do have to really
having
just
Yeah,
think.
well, and I think don't not treat yourself, like, but have that budgeted in. Like, if you know that you're gonna go into town shopping for the day, like budget in, like, hey, I'm gonna get a coffee that day, or go places where you can earn, like, if Seven Brew. I don't know if you guys have Seven Brew where you guys are, but Seven Brew you get awards. So every time you get a coffee, you get points, and then so many points, you get a free coffee, and you can use it on anything. So it's one of those things where like I go there now because then I'm like, I mean, at least I'm earning a free coffee at some point, and it's just way cheaper too, in my opinion.
I do that
But
at Whataburger.
yeah,
But they also like, I have Whataburger's like one of the few places that I have the app that I leave my notifications on because they spam out like, hey, guess what? It's Wednesday. You deserve a free Whataburger.
yeah,
And I'm like,
Chick-fil-A
you know
does that
what?
too.
I do.
Chick-fil-A does that.
Great idea.
Chick-fil-A does that as well, and like that's my kid's favorite place. So like make sure I get the app, and I'm so bad at this, but make sure I get the app scan so we get our points when we
Yeah.
order stuff, especially if I'm not using like to pay through the app. So like you can utilize different apps and things like that to get rewards for your favorite places that can help with those, like with the cost. But I need to really should be tracking. Like I've always wanted to, like, I think the biggest thing is I think like you both, like everybody in the house has to be on the same page when it comes to financial stuff. Like if you have one person who's just like meh, like it's so hard to like
It's hard.
track
I
everything.
have to remind Dustin daily
Yeah,
because, like I've already mentioned, like we are getting a lot less money, and we are in these habits of like, we'll just go pick that up. We'll just go grab this, and it's hard to like get back in the mindset of like, oh, we need to not spend outside of the budget. We need to think about whether we actually need things. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, do I need to buy that thing right now, or could it wait until later?
yeah.
So our biggest thing that we've been doing, I've been doing this for a while, but my husband came with me to Target, and now he is like, oh, I'm doing this now too, is we look every Sunday because their new weekly ad comes out, and they usually have, whether it's, stuff, like toothpaste stuff or household cleaning stuff or laundry stuff. Each week there's either buy 3 items for a certain price,
Yep.
and you get a $10 gift card, or there's our favorite is spend 50 and get a $15 gift card, because then I can usually, along with their digital coupons and all that, I can get a whole lot of crap for $50 and still get a $15 coupon or gift card. Well, this was last year. Like all these were last year, and this is this year already.
Tip too, like to do that, like getting those, especially like if you're getting like household goods, like if you
because it's stuff I'm going to use. I always have to do laundry.
Yeah,
I always have to clean the house. I always need trash bags.
paper towels, toilet paper, all that kind of stuff. You know you're gonna need it, and so
Extra
I think
toothbrushes for
Mhm.
that time when your kid drops it in the toilet and
or
you're like,
something.
oh crap, I don't have a toothbrush. Yeah, like yes, I
Well,
have
and those happen all the time. Like they happen at least like once every 5 to 6 weeks. Like it seems like
the big
they
ones,
happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the smaller like $10 ones where you like we went yesterday and I'm not super low, but the little cent bead things,
Mhm.
if you spend $9.99, that's like the threshold. You buy 3 of them, then you get a $10 gift card. Well, okay. Well, they also had, I think it was like $1 off each one. So you buy 3, get the $3 off plus the $10 gift card. Well, I'm going to use those cent beads, and it's the smaller ones, so they go pretty quick anyway. But it's worth it just because, like
It just
we're
still takes
saving up
time.
our gift cards for
Yep.
when the reality of retirement to the military is there's a month or two where you don't have a paycheck. Like
Mhm.
he'll get his retirement check, but God knows on the VA. We're not, I mean, hopefully it's only a month or two. Yes, the back pay will hit, but
But you still
we
have to have
had,
money
yeah,
to
luckily we knew
survive.
we've been planning for probably by the time it happens 2 years, setting money aside where when that month happens, his normal paycheck, we already have that money set aside for that month or two. But we're going to use the gift cards for, whatever we need because I can go grocery shopping at Target too. I can,
Mhm.
if we need to, we have those gift cards. We used some for Christmas. Say one of the kids' friends has a birthday. Oh, look, let me throw a gift card in a card and call it good. I don't have to go buy something. I can
Yeah,
just, they're great.
Yeah. So the
I love
next one on our thing is social wellness, and we talk about this all the time, like
we
especially
do.
as military spouses,
We
you
need
can't
it.
isolate yourself. Like
Yes.
it so feels easy. Like right now, again, it feels like it was just yesterday we were talking about in Germany. Like I didn't have friends. It's like, oh, here we are again. We're in a new place, and I don't know
Well, and
anybody. But
it's here. Like when you're in a location like that, like that's what really affected my well-being. Is I'm a social person. Like I enjoy getting out and having coffee with friends or going to the park or walking around the track with somebody. Like I like being around people. I like having my space, but I also like having that opportunity. So like being in a location where I haven't had that, like I have a friend here. Like don't I mean I have a couple people that I talk to and things like that. But I mean I signed up to be a sub, y'all, just so I could get out of the house and be surrounded by other people. Like I was like it was getting me down. And I've absolutely loved it. Do I want to be a teacher? Hell no. Praise bless those teachers' hearts. I don't know how y'all do it every single day. I was doing it for like a few weeks around Christmas time, like back to back, and I'm like, oh, like mentally it's exhausting. And so I've worked in school systems before, but it's been a while, so like I have a newfound like appreciation for teachers. Not that I haven't had it before, but they are saints, y'all. But man, oh man, has that done a number on my like just well-being because I'm
yeah,
just
and I think
around other
everybody's
people.
different, right? Like we all have different levels of need for social interaction. I'm a very introverted person, so I'm actually pretty content here. It's a little bit better than it was in Germany, but I am okay with just seeing the moms. It's the homeschool stuff, and then that's kind of being
Yes.
enough for me. Like I don't feel like I need to invite them over or we need to go do extra things just us. Like that's fine. And I get some social aspect out of it. And then we have been podcasting and almost every week lately, and it's nice because I get to talk to people that I'm already friends with, right? And it's a lot easier than having those awkward like, oh, the weather's nice today conversations because we don't know each other. So
Yeah.
this is better for me mentally, and I don't really need it. But there are definitely weeks where I can feel like Dustin is getting really annoyed with me because he's like, you're just talking about too much stupid stuff, and it's like because he is my social some weeks where it's like you are the only adult I've talked to this week, so you're just
Yep.
gonna have to tolerate what I am talking about because this is what I need. So it definitely falls differently. Like Ashley needs more like in-person
I
interactions
I
where
do need
this is fine.
more. I do need more in-person interaction. I mean, like I said, I can be like I do have a social battery as well. Like there are times where I'm just like I feel like as I've gotten older, that's been a lot less than it used to be. Like I could be anywhere around a lot of people, but I think as I've gotten older, my battery drains a lot quicker. Um, but you know, at the same time, like I don't know what it is. I think it's just the way I grew up and stuff like that. Like I'm just so used to being around so many people that I don't know. I'm definitely like an extrovert introvert though. Like I can be happy and content in my little bubble, but at the same time, like boy, do I thrive when I'm around other people.
Yeah, I'm like that too. But I mean, we, especially when Astrid had her surgery, and we like literally didn't go anywhere besides, her checkups. I mean, I still would get interaction when Alex had karate or something going in there, if I even went in, because at that time we were like worried about, oh well, if I get sick, then Astrid will get sick. I mean,
Yeah.
she has a not normal opening that germs are highly prevalent in the port that she has because of where it connects to. It's just not. It's yeah. I was worried about her, like, because Astrid is the she likes to be around people because she wants to see their drama because that's what she thrives on.
I love
But
people watching.
oh, she loves it. And but luckily we had, a friend where, that was in their son was in Astrid's class, but the husband was in Brian's unit, and so they would take precautions where Logan wouldn't get sick, and so Logan would come over and play with her, where she could feel comfortable still, where she wasn't moving a lot, but they'd sit on the couch and just watch a movie or something. Like, so she was getting some, and now that she's in karate, even though she's still homeschooled and all that, she gets a little interaction with people, and it's been enough for her, at least for now, because she's still trying to figure out, like, she's in that preteen stage of life, but also like all the growth that she was stunted and didn't happen after she got her port came all at once. So she's like, I finally grew. I'm not going to be this little thing all the time. And so she was really struggling with, oh, but what if people judge me for my port? And I'm like, no one's even going to notice. Like,
Yeah.
they're not going to notice. I mean, yeah, maybe if you're in a bathing suit, but really and truly,
I feel like things like that are just so, I mean, they're not common, but I feel like parents nowadays have taken steps to be like, hey, it's just something that is like that person is just has something that's different about them, and that is what it is. And I mean, I don't know about myself, but that's what I mean, or about you guys, but that's what I've taught my kids. Like every, like if they see someone in a wheelchair, someone that's smaller, someone that has a a physical deformity or whatever the case may be, just like they were just born differently, and they're the same as you and me. They just may look a little bit different, type of thing, and that's just we're just kind. Like we're kind
Much
anyway.
more open-minded parenting, I
Yeah.
think, for sure. Like there's a little kid in our homeschool group who's missing half of his arm, and Darren is like, I just want to be friends with that guy because I just want to know, did he get eaten by a shark? Like he's so interested in it, and it's like he just wants to.
And I feel
be
like
friends with them.
most people, like, like I'm always like, don't stare. Like we don't stare. If you have a question, then this is how you can ask that question. Like you can
Yeah, and I have friends with disabilities, and that definitely they would much rather you just like come
yeah,
up and
like hey,
ask
like
them
I'm
versus like
curious.
assuming things and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think COVID definitely like changed my perspective on like being around people, because I think before COVID, I like would have been like, I have to be around people all the time. But with COVID, like forcing all of us to be like in quarantine and stuff like that, that I think has changed, like that changed my, like, I'm content being like staying home this weekend. Like I used to be the person where I'm like, I hated staying home on the weekends. Like I had to go do something, whether it was go to the park, go shopping, do something. Like I had to get out of the house. I had to be around other people, things like that. Whereas now I'm just like, I'm okay. Like I still get those urges, like, every other weekend I'm like, okay, we got to get out of the house. Like we need to go do something. Like we either need to go to the museum, we need to like make plans with friends or do something, because we can't just be cooped up. Where Jeremy's completely content just sitting on the couch like playing the guitar,
We could
working on
spend
his
every day
truck,
at
working
home.
on his mic. He's completely content just staying home, and I'm like, whoa, like
No,
this
that's
is driving me bonkers. Like
since we're on a Monday through Friday for the first time ever, so I make sure I'm only working Monday through Friday too. And now Saturdays are mom's day, Sundays are dad's. So we do what mom wants to do on Saturdays. We're not spending the whole weekend home. I don't care if you didn't get your homework done, Dustin. Like we are going
we're
out on
doing
Saturdays, and
something
that is what it's just a known now. Like it's not that I want to be around people so much as I just want to be out the house.
out. Well, and I think that's like also like really important too. Like, you know, that drive to get out of the house on the weekends is much more like prevalent now that I work at home. Whereas like when I worked outside the home, I was completely content being like, oh, we can just do something cute at the house. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
Um,
And that kind of falls into the next one is the spiritual and environmental wellness. I'm kind of putting those together because I feel like to me that for me personally that's kind of the same thing. Like because my spirituality kind of falls more into like being outside and being around nature and stuff like that. But the
same.
biggest one on that from like their list that I can see is gratitude. That has made a huge difference, and I need to work on it more. Like
Yeah.
I write gratitude into my journal every night, like one thing that I'm grateful for. But I think it's one of those things that if you actually like were like, hey, 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or something, you just think like, hey, what am I really grateful for in this moment? Would make you in such a better mental state too, because then you're
And
like
like
not focusing on things.
it's all kind of like a cycle. Like all of these aspects play a role in each other, and I love that. Like gratitude, like I definitely need to practice that more too because I'll get out of like I'll forget. Like, but Ashley, you have so much to be thankful for. Like you have so much. Like especially like when I'm just like, ugh, like whatever horrible intrusive thought is coming into my brain. Like there is so much about my life that is good that far outweighs the negative that like I have to remind myself this is good. And I'm the same with Sabrina. I love to be outdoors. Like if I could just sit outside and read my book, go for a hike, I am the happiest person in the world. And so I definitely feel like if you find things that do make you happy, like it helps your well-being and you can do all the different things.
Yeah, like I'm trying to convince myself that if we put a pool in the backyard, like, hey, the kids will be off their butts. And I'm like, it's worth it. Like, I know it's worth it. We all know it's worth it. But I'm like, because so my best friend that's here, she has a pool. She doesn't care when the kids come over. But it's like, I don't want to load them up in the car. I don't want to drive.
That is exactly.
I want to be able to, if they want to go swimming, cool, go in the backyard.
Yeah.
And
Like
I can
how much
outside.
work it takes, how much work it actually takes to pack bags, get everyone in swimsuits, make sure you have towels, sunscreen, snacks, all the toys for the pool and stuff. Like it's so much work. And like by the time you get to the pool, you're exhausted.
And God forbid, like Astrid needs a flush or something. Guess what? We can just go upstairs. Nobody else has to be bothered. Yes. We can go to the bathroom, do her flush, and go out. Which is another thing with the whole like social thing. I think it would, with her, I had to realize that if a kid asks her what that was, she's going to be a lot nicer than if an adult's just trying to be nosy and like, oh, what is that? Because she's liable to be like, it's my butthole.
But you know what?
I mean, she's not wrong.
She's not wrong. I would die if she told me that. I'd be like,
she totally would.
Kudos. Like, girl, like that's how you need to respond to everybody about it.
Oh, she is me, but in a tiny little human body. And it is hilarious when things that I would say come out of her mouth. Because
she doesn't have that filter for those intrusive thoughts. She just says it.
No, yeah. So I was telling the kids next year for homeschool, we're going to start learning sign language. And Asher goes, I already know sign language. And she flipped me off. And I was like, I walked right into that.
You did walk right into that one. That one, you were asking for that one. Love that. Love her. Kids, I mean, I say this because like kids with like sass crack me up and I love it so much. Like it just brings extra humor into your life. Claire has started to like, she's only 6, y'all, and I'm so nervous about how life is going to be in the next few years because her sass level has just been cranked up like by 10. She has this like 100% like I don't give a F attitude.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just kind of like looking at her going like I don't know if I should be proud or if I should be mad at you right now because at this like first off, I think it's hilarious, but the second time I'm like, you can't say things like that. You can't do things like that. And because she's 6 and adorable and she has this god awful haircut, y'all, that like you can't take her serious. And not a haircut I gave her, by the way. This was 100%
I know,
her
it's so
doing.
funny.
It's so bad.
This girl.
But you know, when I don't just like, you know, when you think about all the things like, you know, whether it's spiritual or environmental, like, you know, what makes you happy, like that's why I have to get out of the house. Like, I cannot be in this house all the time. Like, I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful that I can work from home, but it really does bring my mood down. Like I literally have to, like, that's one of the things I'm really excited for, like, moving, because as much as I love having my own space and stuff down here in the basement, it's a basement and it feels like a basement and there's no like natural light or anything down here. And so I'm really looking forward to having, like, you know, a space where like I'm by a window moving
It
forward.
makes so much of a difference, because in Germany ours was in the basement too, and now like I can look outside and like see people walking past, and it's a little less isolating.
I move around the house. Like, I have my big, like, if I know I'm working on something where I need both screens, I'll work downstairs. If it's something I'm working on where I can just work on my laptop, I work upstairs at the kitchen table, because then I can look out the big, like, glass door to our deck and stuff. Or I'll go sit outside, like, and when it's warmer, I'll go sit out on the deck and work. And that just, like, changes my mood, like that. Like, it's so drastic as much. And like I said, I'm so thankful that I get to work from home, stuff like that. I do sometimes miss going into an office just for that, like, change of scenery. Do I miss, like, working for, like, in a cubicle? Not really, but, like, I did enjoy having that, like, home and work life separated, where I don't necessarily have that.
Yeah, that kind of is our last topic is vocational wellness. So that is like your work habits and whatever.
Yeah.
And some people are lucky to not have to work, which is fantastic. I had to start working again. And I mean, I guess I've always continuously been working, because the podcast itself is basically a part-time job. And then there's other things that I do. But I started working again this year, and it's time management so much. But I do feel like I do pretty well with that, because I'm like, you know, prioritizing that school is most important for me, right? Like, the kids have to get through school first. I will put off emails. I will put off everything else except for on mornings like this. But, and then we can focus on work, because that's been the hardest part though, is like getting emails while I'm in the middle of a lesson. And then I get stressed, like ramped up on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go fix this thing. I need to go change that thing for the company that I work for. And then it's like, oh no, I'm just not focusing on the kids. I'm getting snappy with the kids. So time management is like such a huge thing when it comes to vocation.
I really need to be better at it. I'm the worst when, like, and again, like, it comes to being like, I don't want to go to the basement today. I'd rather go walk around to Target. I am the worst when it comes to this, and and it's put me behind so much. And like, a lot of it's like mentally, like, you know, like, I'm just not in the headspace. Like, I don't want to go downstairs and work on this right now, because I just don't want to be in the basement, or I don't want to be, you know, stuck at home. And I'm slowly but surely getting out of that headspace. So like, I'll plan, like, what I've been trying to do okay, this week I will go into town on this day and this day only. So this is a day that I can go do my shopping, or I can go get my nails done, or whatever it may be that day. The rest of the week, I know, like, I have this on this day, so I need to do this, and this on this day. And I'm trying to be better about it. But again, it all kind of fits seamlessly together. Like, you have to, like, have little bits of each of these different sections for all of it to kind of work smoothly.
Yeah, my biggest thing is like kind of like putting in order the things that need to get done and being like prioritizing. I think it's not so much time management, because I don't work, you know, specifically from 2 to 5 or whatever. It doesn't matter to me when I work, but it's like, hey, we are going to focus on A before we start on B, and then we'll look at C. Yeah. And just knowing what it is. Because some days that means the podcast has to be B, because it has to get, you know, it has to be edited by a certain date. And some days that means I have to work for the company that I work for right away, because those things that they're asking for, whether that's like this, we worked with some like influencers this week, but they were literally here that weekend and we needed to have the contract written out and stuff like that needs to be done on very specific days. So then it's like, I know I prioritize, and it's basically making sure it's just 3 tasks a day. And that's been the most helpful, because then I also am like, okay, yeah, I could continue and I could continue doing all these things, but I've done the 3 that I told myself I was going to do. And now I can go sit in my hammock and read, and I have to be able to like schedule myself to, because it's like, yeah, sure, I work from home, and I think that's the biggest thing, is that trap of like, oh, but I could work literally from noon to 9 o'clock at night and whatever, but
yeah, and that's what I do. And I'm like, oh, but I can work later tonight. But then I'm like, oh, but then like the kids are asking me for like the snack for the fifth time today, or hey mommy, I need help with this, or hey mommy, I need you help with my butt. And like it just kind of gets pushed back and then it never happens. So like you having having figuring out what works for you, like whether it's a to-do list of these are the things that need to get done by this time frame. I don't know, like there's so many different things that you could do to help.
It's not on my phone calendar, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Especially events. Like,
but
all
then
artists on Facebook are gonna be like, oh, I missed that because I didn't put it into my calendar.
Yep. It has to go in my phone, but it also has to be physically written on my paper calendar that I have, because I physically see that more than I do on my phone. And it's like, I have to have both, because I have, you know, my oldest schedule, she has a few appointments that are, you know, every other week. Alex has ABA 3 times a week. Alex and Astrid have karate twice a week. Well, Alex has it 3 times a week now because he got picked for leadership, because he now is being prepared to be one of the kids that when he gets into high school, they actually give him like a part-time job up there. So because we're not moving anywhere, he got chosen for this. And it's really cool for him because, you know, I think it'd be a great first-time job for him, because, you know, it's something that he loves, likes doing. And, you know, for a very high-functioning autistic kid, it's great because it's not even work to him. Yeah. It's just he loves helping the littler kids learn things, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing. So it was a great opportunity for him. So I was like, I'll move our schedule, whatever that means for this, because I know that it's a good thing for him. And it's just like, everybody else's schedule. Like, I told myself during spring break that's coming up next month, no appointments, no ABA. The only thing is karate. We're not doing crap. Yeah. Like, we need a week where we just...
Yeah, we haven't even started scheduling doctors and dentists and eyes yet since we moved here. And I'm like, I already feel like a chauffeur because we only have one car. So I am chauffeuring Dustin to work. I'm picking him up from work. I'm taking the kids to their homeschool events and getting groceries. Like, I feel like I'm just driving everywhere. And it's like, I don't even want to think about how many appointments I'll end up being. Because, you know, it's not going to be just a checkup. It's going to be also, we need to talk to these specialists, and we need to get a cavity filled, no doubt, and get glasses ordered. And it becomes so many things. And Dustin's about to like finish his VA process and like going back through all the doctor's appointments again. I'm like, we're gonna have to rearrange our whole schedule, because there's days where I will need the car and I'm gonna have to take him to appointments in between, and it's just gonna be chaos. But
yeah. And the VA is like, while they kind of are like, hey, what works for you? Sometimes they're like, nope, it's this time at this day, and you have to suck it up because we're not going to reschedule it. Yeah. I was trying to explain that to my husband. I was like, he was like, yeah, well, I'll schedule my VA stuff here. And I was like, you're funny. They're going to tell you when and where, and you're just going to have to be there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah. I wonder if that's like our ADHD tendencies of like how many places we have all of our stuff written down, because like I have it written on my calendar. I have it on my phone. I have it on the calendar that's on our fridge. And then I've been really bad about this one down here that's by my desk. But I know because I haven't had things written on this one, like I've missed things because I'm just like, wait, it's not on the third calendar.
Mm-hmm. I've got pretty good about my phone being my only calendar, because I know that I'm never not going to have this in my hand.
I know my phone's the most up-to-date one.
Yeah. But I also have now, you know, we have the Notion calendar for Deployed Love. I have a Notion calendar for the podcast.
And like, I have to go add all that in.
So there's so many things, and I feel like I've become really OCD though. So it's like way too many things. I'm like checking off lists every day, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. But it's necessary, otherwise I will lose my mind, I think.
I need to add those things to like this calendar, because like I'll be like, did I check that today? Did I do that? No, it's been like 3 days, Ashley. Like you haven't checked it at all. So there's a lot.
I feel like it's gotten a lot better for me, at least, because when I had my 3 heart attacks, I wasn't allowed to take my ADHD medicine because it's a stimulant and they wanted to make sure the muscles in my heart healed. About 2 weeks ago, I wrote, you know, a message to my doctor, like basically begging him, like, can I please please go back on my ADHD medicine, or can I ask my doctor for something that's maybe not a stimulant, but like your girl is, it sucks. Like I can't do this. I can't homeschool. I can't keep everybody's schedule on track.
Well,
And yeah,
that's
so
just an ADHD in general is just crazy because it manifests differently in every single person. Like I'm undiagnosed and unmedicated, but I know for a fact that I have ADHD. Like, but I think I'm 36 years old and have been doing this like for my whole life. Like I have like these like, wait, like no, like you are so off task right now. You really have to get back on task.
It's funny because I feel like women in our generation, there's a lot of us that it's like, I also don't see the point of going in diagnosed at this point because
but there's
it's been
like
so
I
long.
asked my doctor like in August, like I was like, hey, like what's the process of an adult getting diagnosed? Because I know the process of a kid, it's just a piece of paper, but like she's like, well, actually, like it's a lot more extensive for an adult. Like you're gonna have to go see like a psychiatrist and all this other kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't got time for that.
See,
So I'm good.
I didn't have to do any of that. My doctor could tell. Like I went in and I was like just talking to her, and she's like, yeah. She's like, have you ever thought you had ADHD? And I was like, oh, I know I have it. I just whatever. It hasn't been worth my time to like stop and do it. And my doctor's like, well, we're going to do this because your heart would benefit from it anyway, but I'm going to put that you have it. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. If that's all it takes.
Well, and genetically, I feel like if our kids are getting diagnosed with it, they should immediately schedule an appointment with parents because it goes back. And I like look at my parents now as an adult and I'm like, oh yeah, like totally that is makes so much sense.
I asked my parent, like I asked my mom, I was like, you know, as a kid, because like I remember like, you know, like I mean, I got decent grades and stuff as a kid, but like I remember that I had to work like extremely hard. Like I had to work extremely hard on like studying for tests. I'm a horrible test taker. Like I like freeze up when I take tests. Like I'll know the information, but like just something about the words in my brain and just it doesn't always connect for some reason. But I think every doctor is different too. Cause like I feel like if I talked to my doctor that I had in North Carolina, she would have been like, yeah, like we'll just prescribe you something and let's see how it works. Whereas like this doctor's a little bit more like, well, you gotta do like all the, like it's very different, which also I think explains why a lot of military spouses go undiagnosed with everything so I mean women in general, like regardless of civilian military, it's really hard to get them diagnosed, but for women specifically in the military, because we move so often, it's a doctor,
it's so hard.
It's like at this point like
I know I should
see one time in since we lived here in Virginia, and one time, well, not counting my trips to the dermatologist, but to my primary caregiver one time. And
because I put it off and I'm like, oh, I have to find a new doctor. Like right now, that's the biggest thing. It's like, I know which ones take our insurance, but will I like this person? So then it could potentially just finding a primary for your family could take months of like trying out doctors. And then it's like, I also know I need to see specialists for my heart, for my migraines, like things like that. And then it's like, that's a whole other thing. Whether, especially this town is small, whether that's even going to be available here or something that I'm going to have to travel to Tucson for. And it's like, I know we're also only going to be here 2 years. So it's like, at what point is it worth getting
but then you're just pushing it off. Yeah. And then, but that's the like mindset of military spouses. Like we're only here for 2 years. So I'll just wait. But that means just it's another 2 years and then another 2 years and another 2 years. And so I literally have had this stupid cough since November. And I'm like, actually, you need to call the doctors and just be like, hey, I don't know what it is. Like, prescribe me an antibiotic or something to just get this out of my system, but I shouldn't be coughing like I'm a smoker at all, because I don't smoke. So, and I'm like dying, and it's so much worse in the morning and at nighttime. But I'm just like, this is getting out of hand. So like, I literally am probably going to be making a phone call to my doctors after we get off of this today, just because like I've been pushing it off since November. Like I got the weekend after, like 2 days after Thanksgiving, and I have just been like just horrid cough since then. And I can do my kids, like I have no problem scheduling my kids' doctor's appointments, but when it comes to me, no.
See, I'm lucky in that my kid's PCM is also my PCM, so I'll go in for one of them and she'll be like, Hmm.
I
What
haven't seen you in a while.
I need to ask you, like, eh, so she's pretty good.
I think
And
it's
what's
really
nice is
helpful when
she's
you have a
active
nice
duty,
doctor.
and she knows, like, she's like, you're a veteran, you're going to push this off, and I know you're not going to tell the VA doctor about it, so I'm going to take care of it. And, like, she'll sit there, and even if it's not an appointment for me, she
That's
goes through
nice.
all my stuff and is like,
Yeah, I really, really loved my doctor in North Carolina. And that's because like she was like one of the very first doctors who would just actually listen and like was like, you know what, if you want to try this, let's try it. Like, I'm not going to tell you have to do all these things beforehand. Like, if you feel like this is something we need to do because you've done X, Y, and Z, then let's do it. And I really, really like that about her, because it wasn't or she would notate, like, we're going to notate this in your chart so that way there's documentation. And if this continues to be an issue, then we have it documented that you've seen me this X many times for this, whether it's something I was like, for instance, like I've, want to get a boob job because I breastfed 2 babies and weight gains and all that kind of stuff. And that's not covered by TRICARE unless you have documentations dating back for so long. Like, I have back pain from I'm way too large for my liking. So she's like, well, we can document it. And if it comes down to it, then like we have documentation that goes back all these years. So maybe we can get it covered that way. And so she just kind of always was there to kind of like, I hear your concerns and I'm not going to brush them off. We're going to figure out the best way to do it, kind of thing. And I think when you find a doctor like that, it's really important. But like, we're military spouses, like it takes us forever to find that doctor, and then when you do find them, you move.
or they move.
Or they move too. Yeah. So I'm really hoping if we go back to North Carolina, she's in Southern Pines, so I guess like it depends on where we move. If I am willing to drive that far again to see her. I've always been willing to drive that far to see her, but like with the kids kind of in school and stuff now, it's a lot harder to do because you have to be back by a certain time to pick them up from school and things like that. So, and again, that all plays a role, like, going to the doctors. Can you get an appointment during the time frame where you don't have kids? And it's so many things. So many things.
There are so many things, and like breaking it down into 7 things makes you realize just like how there's so many things. 'Cause when I think health and wellness, I always just think, oh, mental and physical. That's, that's that. But there's so many things that all just kind of tie into those things. And so hopefully kind of breaking this down for you guys, we'll have obviously show notes and a blog that kind of will break this down a little bit more for you guys to read. But just trying is just making sure that you're thinking about it. I think that's kind of the biggest thing, is like being aware of your physical, your mental, your social, like those things is the first step. Whether you're able to like fully go all in on all those things is, I mean, it's time consuming. It is a lot of things, but kind of picking which ones are most important. Like for me, it's my spiritual and being outside kind of thing. And then making sure that I am on schedules helps me the most. And then that allows me to schedule in time for physical health and making sure I'm eating healthy meals. And so just kind of picking where you can start. I think that's the biggest thing. Even with diets and everything, is starting with one thing, right? Like picking one little thing and then building onto it.
Yeah. Well, and then creating those habits, create those habits, pick one habit. Don't start off with like 5, because then you're just setting yourself up for failure. Pick one habit, stick to it for 30, 60 days, and then add a new one in. And then that it's just so much more attainable when you do things like that. So like, don't go full speed of like, oh, I want to drink 60, 70 ounces of water. I also want to eat, this really, really healthy like meal. I don't know. Like, there's just take baby steps. It's not a race. The slow and steady wins the race, is, what we're all taught. And when it comes to health and wellness, that really is true. Like, steady wins the race. Steady goes it, for sure.
And just because everybody else is doing it, like you said, the water thing, like if I did that, I'd be in the hospital. Like, well, it doesn't, whatever different. Works for you.
Yeah, exactly. What,
and don't feel bad about it.
Exactly. Like, don't let what someone else is posting or what someone else is doing make you feel bad, because like there's so many things where I like see people and like, I did that for forever and I didn't lose a single ounce. But boy, do they lost 10, 13 pounds in like a couple weeks. And I'm just like, so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. But I know that didn't work for me. And so finding what works for you and then sticking to it is the best thing. Like, I find that I stick better to physical activity when I have like a coach. Like, if I have someone who's checking and going, hey, did you do your things today? Yeah, I did. Like, and I feel really excited to tell him. Whereas if I try to do things on my own, like whether it's accountability partner or a trainer or something like that, I do better. But if I'm on my own, I'll just be like, no one's gonna know I skipped my like workout session today.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know for me, I do better with accountability. And especially when it's someone who's actually checking in with me and not just me checking in with somebody else. Like, someone has to physically be like, hey, how'd you do today? I saw that you didn't work out today. What's going on? Like, are you okay? What's going on? And then that does better for me. But just do what's best for you, y'all.
Just making sure that you're aware of what is going on, and then just trying your best. I think don't get so wrapped up in what everybody else is doing. It's so hard. But I hope you guys enjoyed this and were able to kind of enjoy a coffee while you're listening to us chat. We will be back again soon. We have lots of people already on the schedule, so we're really excited to be bringing you guys a lot more information this year. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. And like we like to say, Ruck Up Buttercup.